Hello, Drift World. We are here for round 2 of the G-Shock Presents Formula Drift Japan Championship. Alongside Ryan Lantain, I am Ryan Sage. And yesterday it was incredibly wet and rainy. The only time it's been wet and rainy all weekend long, so the drivers had an incredible time dealing with that. We started off with 50 drivers, Ryan, whittled it down to 43 with some DNFs. We also saw a few drivers go into the dirt wall very, very hard. We ended up with 30 drivers out of 32, so we're going to have 2 bye runs today. And one top note is that one of the drivers that crashed extremely hard yesterday, Suinaga, is in fact in competition. He did get that one qualifying run in run number 1. And he was able to get the car fixed overnight after it flipped over. We saw some photos of it, some video, and watched his practice this morning. You can see that the track is still damp in certain areas, but Ryan, it is much better than it was yesterday. Let's talk a little bit about the judging criteria. We kind of laid it out yesterday for qualifying, but with the rain, a big wrench was thrown in. It seems like that we will have more often than not dry conditions for this session at least. So what did you guys talk about last night in the drivers meeting, and what are some of the big takeaways here, especially as it pertains to the lead driver responsibilities?
Yeah, the lead driver has responsibilities, the chase driver has responsibilities, and we're comparing lead run to lead run and chase run to chase run to see who adhered to that responsibility list the best and who made the least amount of compromises. So in the lead position, you need to be running a 100-point qualifying run essentially in the lead. You need to be hitting all the zones, filling those zones, getting close to the inside clips, and you need to be doing that with angle. You have to be doing it smoothly in terms of the arc that you're going to be running from outside zone 1 to inside clip 1 to outside zone 2. You're not going to be making a lot of corrections in terms of angle. You're going to be running that high degree of angle and slowing down where you're supposed to, which is partway through outside zone 1, on the way to inside clip 1, and then outside zone 3, just a little bit beyond outside zone 3, setting up for the inside clip 2, which is that last hairpin before the finish line. So the lead driver needs to run that high scoring lead run while making the least amount of compromises and mistakes. The chase driver needs to be as close to that lead driver as possible throughout the run without making any mistakes of their own in the chase. If the lead driver is running a high quality lead run, the chase driver is expected to run a high quality chase run. If the lead driver is making mistakes, errors, compromises, then we're not going to be as strict on the chase driver. So we're putting a lot of emphasis on that lead driver to do a good job, and the chase driver has got to be close, but needs to match what the lead driver is doing, so mimic them, where they're transitioning, where they're initiating.
One of the things that I like about the way you guys have set up pretty much all the tracks here at FDG Japan, and it does mirror back in the States, is that it is pretty much a full throttle commitment if you want to be doing it right as a lead driver into initiation. Talk a little bit about, because of the full throttle commitment required through a lot of these courses, where have you prescribed that the decel areas are going to be at this particular track?
Well, what we saw in qualifying yesterday due to the rain was some drivers not really being committed up to initiation. They maybe saw the other driver spin and hit that dirt wall over there and thought, I'm going to come in a little bit slower. And the weather is going to play a big role in how the drivers are approaching the initiation. We're still going to be looking for that commitment up to initiation. Once they get the car to angle, they should be carrying that speed through to outside zone 1 on throttle, because once you get the car to angle here, you need to get on throttle. There's no real slowdown at the initiation per se. It's later on through outside zone 1 and just beyond the end of outside zone 1 is where the driver should be slowing down and then getting themselves into inside clip 1. Once they get down to outside zone 3 is where a next decel will happen, and that's because we've moved inside clip 1 inside a little bit now. There used to be a bit of a choke point at inside clip 1, which isn't there anymore, which means that by the time you get to outside zone 3, your speed's higher than it was previously in previous years. So that we've implemented a new decel zone there.
You're taking a look at your first bye run here. Katsuhiro Ueo gives us a good opportunity to see what your #1 qualifier did. Obviously, these conditions much better than they were yesterday. You can see lots of smoke being laid down. Interesting storylines developing with Katsuhiro Ueo. He was able to take out third place at Suzuka Twin, just outside of second place from Koichi Yamashita and Masuyama. Both of those drivers qualified lower than Ueo. So Ueo and Miyoshi, the number 1 and number 2 qualifiers, will receive those bye runs. So they're going directly into the top 16. That'll pretty much be their responsibilities for the day. However, our first battle up that we will see right now is going to be our 16th and 17th place qualifier, respectively. That is Sheng Nian and Yuichi Amagai. Both drivers have done very well here in the past. Both are strong competitors in Formula Drift Japan. We always see 100% commitment from Sheng Nian, and Amagai certainly has impressed us with his driving as well. So Ryan, I mean, a good battle here to set up our first head-to-head matchup. Do you suspect from what you, oh boy, that's our burnout box there that just got a little annihilated, but do you suspect that these conditions here are going to provide more confidence for the drivers as opposed to how variable it got yesterday?
Absolutely. They know they've been running through practice here for the last hour and 10 minutes, I believe. They see that the track is dry. They have grip. There's smoke. Nian, he hit the wall yesterday pretty hard, so they had to fix his car overnight. You can see they did a great job. It's back to what it looked like at the beginning of the day yesterday, but I don't think that's going to affect his confidence level right now because it's dry. He knows the car is going to stick. He knows he can rely on the power and the grip that he has built into that car, and here they go.
Here we go. Sheng Nian taking the lead. Amagai chasing him down, coming into this initiation point. Sheng just right at the edge of that outside zone. Keep in mind that, and Amagai really loses it there, and now Sheng is off to the races. He has got a good position here with about 8 car lengths on Amagai. Let's see what happens. Remember, that area there is just right before the decel zone, if I recall that correctly, Brian, but walk us through what you saw here between Sheng Nian and Amagai.
In the initiation area of the track, you can be center. We never told them they have to be wide, so Nian did a good job there. Got to just to the outside edge of that outside zone 1. Amagai looks like he got inside and didn't really have anywhere to go as he was kind of diving in there. Nian was in his right to slow down in that area. From inside clip 2 to the finish, you could see that there was a lack of angle from Nian. He wasn't really full throttle from inside clip 2 to the finish, but he did remain at angle over the finish line.
So we are getting some communication from the team up. There you go. You can see that little bump right there by Amagai. The judge is having to make a decision here on what will transpire. Also heard some interesting dialogue coming through on the radio. We have Kevin Wells here, our competition director, who is basically overseeing the competition with the Japanese stewards and also utilizing some of the technology pieces that we have here, like the restart light and the starting light, as well as the chicane. So Ryan, what information do you have for us?
They were just asking if we need to assess fault for contact or anything like that. We always look at how severe the hit was. Do we need to assess fault? Does one driver need to look at his car because of the contact? Or we can just say rubbing's racing. That was not severe enough to warrant the drivers looking at their car. So in this case, I believe we just went with it's rubbing's racing. That was just a light touch, part of drifting.
And a mistake that will go in the direction of Amagai as opposed
exactly.
to Sheng.
Exactly.
All right, so it looks like Sheng has an opportunity here to clinch a potential win. And it looks like we do have a restart there. They will reset, and it'll be a strike on Amagai.
And of course, the chicane is set up specifically to keep the lead driver in check. The lead driver, we don't want them to get away from the chase driver. And by having the chicane in place, the lead driver does need to take it gently through there, which means that the chase driver has more of an opportunity to stay close to them. It slows that lead driver down slightly, gives the chase driver the opportunity to do what we asked them to do, which is to stay close to the lead driver all the way through the run.
Clean start here, it looks like, as Sheng trying to chase down Amagai.
Whoa.
Oh boy, and he initiates in the opposite direction. And that was very weird there. We'll want to take a look at that as he also overshoots outside zone 1. I have to assume that the mistake by Amagai more or less freaked out Sheng as he was trying to avoid contact there, it looks like. But Ryan, let's go back and take a look at this and give us some insight to what just played out there.
Yeah, Amagai, it looks like he tried to do a big aggressive flick entry and just overdid it. The car kind of gripped up and sent him off the track. So that'll be an incomplete for Amagai. Immediately there, it'll be 4 wheels off, a complete loss of control, unchaseable lead, whatever you want to call it, and that'll be a win for Sheng Yan, I think, pretty easily there. Amagai essentially incompleted on both runs.
Knowing that you've spent a lot of time at this track and not only drifting by yourself but in tandem with other guys, what do you think was going through Sheng's mind there when Amagai tried to initiate?
Well, yesterday they had to repair his car overnight, I imagine, and he probably wanted to just stay away from Amagai, and you could see Nian playing it safe and trying to over-rotate the car just to slow it down and stay out of his way, and he did a good job. As soon as the lead driver incompletes like that, the run is over. So it's not like Nian had to stay close to him and try to follow him throughout the rest of the course to maintain his dominance, let's say, in that run. That run was over as soon as Amagai incompleted. So Nian was in his rights to do what he did.
All right, so Sheng Nian moving on. All three judges agreeing with the same result. And we'll move on to our next battle on the left-hand side of the bracket. It is Wataru Masuyama versus Masakazu Hashi. Now, Wataru Masuyama came out in the start of the 2019 season just about a month ago at Suzuka Twin with a very strong and promising performance. He really improved his head-to-head driving and tandem skills in the off-season and was able to parlay that against his really dominant qualifying. So he is your current leader in the championship, but obviously a very important battle here. He is facing the number 25 qualifier, Masakazu Hashi. So two beautiful S15s. We got the shopping cart teal. Looks like a Acura Integra Type R. And then the classic on the left-hand side. I always wanted an Acura Integra Type R when I was young. But you probably weren't into Acuras, huh?
Not a whole lot,
yeah,
no.
Okay,
Personally,
no response from you.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. Nice initiation there by Masuyama. He's right in the zone from outside zone 1, and shooting wide here is Hashi going way deep. And we'll want to talk about that inside clip number 1 because, Ryan, it is the only place on this course where a pass is possible, and we did see a lot of drivers overshoot inside clip number 1. It makes it a very plausible area for a pass, but in this particular case, Masuyama very dominant in the lead.
Yeah, he did a great job. You can see a great initiation. The rate to angle was phenomenal. Tire on the rumble strip. Could have stayed just slightly longer on there, but got himself into inside clip 1. And we were talking to the drivers after we changed that inside clip 1 position, and a few of them were saying that it's really hard to get the car into that inside clip. And we like to change little things on the track here and there just to keep it more challenging and a little bit different. You know, you can't use the same setup from last year. You can't use all your notes from last year. Now you have to figure this new layout out as much as possible. And we tried to change this track more than we did this time, but for safety concerns and setup concerns, we were told we weren't really in the situation, in the position to be making those changes. So the most we could do was shift that inside clip 1 inside, because in previous years we found that it kind of provided a choke point for the drivers. It was a spot where they had to slow down significantly, and we feel that now it's you can get through that area while maintaining pace a lot better. It's smoother, and it provides a good opportunity for good tandem driving. In this situation, you see that it's not easy to get the car slowed down for, though, and we've had a couple of chase drivers get kind of phased in that area, so it is proving to be a little more challenging, which is something that we like from our perspective, but surely the drivers don't.
Well, it is good to challenge the drivers course setup wise, and there are quite a few possibilities here now with the additional pavement that's been laid down, and certainly looking forward to how that might play out in future years. But to the item at hand here, Masuyama with a clear advantage on run number 1. Hashi initiates on the inside of that outside zone. Masuyama giving him a little bit of space here, knowing that he's got an advantage. A little bit of lower angle there from Hashi on outside zone 2, better on outside zone 3, but Masuyama keeping it close enough to make it a pretty simple call here for the judges. As we go back to the replay, let's see how this played out. Obviously, the mistake by Hashi in his chase run, very significant overall.
Yeah, this track is really rewarding that precision that the drivers need to have from start to finish. So you can see that he missed outside zone 1 there in the lead position. He was off of inside clip 1. He got into outside zone 2 pretty well, but he was way off of inside clip 2 here. But what you see from Masuyama is him following closely despite the lead car going offline. He's showing that he is capable of adjusting his driving to match somebody who's not quite doing what they're supposed to in the lead position. So Masuyama and any driver that wants to do well here, or in any drifting competition for that matter, you have to be able to adapt to what the lead driver's doing. Just because you're chasing them doesn't mean they're going to go where you expect them to or where they're supposed to.
All right, so it looks like all three judges going in the direction of Masuyama. He continues his hot streak here by advancing on into the top 16. So Andrew Gray, the three-time champion here at FD Japan, going up against Kenji Yamada, one of the few drivers on Nexen tires. We talked a little bit about kind of the tire wars going on over here, Ryan. 11 tire manufacturers participating in Formula Drift Japan, and it really is an out-engineer type of strategy. We've seen various compounds come into play. It is a much different setup than back in the U.S., and some very wild tires. Certainly we didn't really get to see that manifest itself in qualifying yesterday, but I think today it will certainly play a much greater role, and some of the grip coming off of these tires is just absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah, we walk around the pit sometimes and just look at the different tread patterns and the different tread compounds as well. Some of them are extremely soft. Must provide an amazing amount of grip to these drivers, and they're running some high horsepower engines to spin them.
Andrew Gray, Kenji Yamada, run number 1 here in the top 32. Gray, as always, gets out to a big jump. Really well executed outside zone 1. The gap established here as Gray pushes deep into outside zone 2. Just comes up a little bit short. Remember, the blue and white marking is the front side. On the inside is the beginning of the zone and the edge of the zone. For reference there, you can see a lot of tire being laid down, but it gives you a good idea of where the judges are looking for those drivers to be, especially the lead driver. They should be right in the middle of that rumble strip.
So looking at Andrew Gray's initiation, his rate to angle could have been better, but he did get out to outside zone 1, left it slightly early, and again, not a lot of drivers are able to get into that inside clip 1. Andrew was off probably just beyond the 3rd hash mark, but did get out to outside zone 2, did a good job through the rest. In the chase position, it looked like Kenji Yamada was having a hard time keeping pace with Andrew. He was definitely behind more than we'd like to see him. Further back than you'd like to say in terms of a tandem. He wasn't fulfilling the chase driver responsibilities there, and he was making some compromises. His line wasn't as good as Andrew's, and his angle was less in a couple of key areas as well. So from the chase side of things, Andrew does have an opportunity here to, let's say, win in the chase position fairly easily. He doesn't have to do anything too crazy, too aggressive to really show that he is able to outdo what Kenji did in his chase run. And in the lead position, Kenji does have some opportunities. If he gets a snappier initiation, he fills outside zone 1 better, gets closer to inside clip 1, he could potentially outdo Andrew in the lead position. So we're going to see how they do here now as the lights are about to extinguish.
So Andrew Gray in the chase position here, Kenji Yamada in the lead. We've seen Andrew Gray have a very storied history here at this track, especially against the likes of Mad Mike Woodette. Many crazy battles over the year, and he's got his whole team here on site. Yamada goes deep into outside zone 1, but Gray is with him through inside clip 1. Yamada, nice job on outside zone 2. Gray has to back off a little bit, losing a little bit of ground here to Yamada, and now surging forward. So from outside zone 2 to 3, it looked like Yamada got the better of Gray there, but let's take a look at the run overall and break it down.
So what I was talking about earlier, saying that in this case, Yamada could get a bit of an advantage by doing better on outside zone 1. Look here, he goes over the line, so he's on the outside of outside zone 1. And he did do better on inside clip 1, though, so he's a little bit closer there. But in terms of accuracy, he had 1 or 2 areas where he was slightly better, but a couple of key areas where he was not as accurate as Andrew was. In the chase position, Andrew was closer through the majority of the track, I would say. He did fall off near the end there, but earlier on he was closer. So in this case, it seems like Andrew has a slight advantage in the chase position and in the lead position as well, just because of Yamada's mistake on outside zone 1, where he did go 1 tire quite a significant amount over the rumble strip.
Yeah, the markers are the edge of the zone on these 3 outside zones here. The inside of the zone is basically the paint that you can see that goes from the asphalt to the paint. So if they do hit one of those cones, they are most likely going to be going a bit too deep, depending on how long their bumper is from the rear wheels. So we've got our 3 judges here, Andy Yen, Ryan Lantain, and Robbie Nishida, all going in the favor of Andrew Gray.
That wasn't a dominating win, let's call it. It was
enough to get the job done.
Enough to get the job done, but if he's going to go up against Masuyama next, which is in the top 16, who he'll be competing against, he's going to need to clean it up. He's going to have to be more precise. As you get through the bracket, you have to drive better. You have to get cleaner. You have to do a better job of hitting your marks, being precise, and not leaving anything on the table, because the other driver to get to that point had to do that as well. So he's going to have to clean it up to do a little bit better in the in the coming rounds.
So our number 4 qualifier is a driver you may know well. Jin Harino had a great day yesterday during qualifying, and Koji Kitagawa is our number 29 qualifier. He'll be taking the lead here. Jin Harino coming down. Nice snap there, middle of the road. He's going to get that zone a little bit short, though. He's going to come up tight on this inside clip. Has to make a bit of an adjustment there, but Kitagawa was way far back. Now he's playing catch-up, trying to close the door, but he's on the inside line here. Trying to gain that proximity, but sacrificing some of the overall line. And as they go through that final turn through the finish line there, let's take a look one more time here and see what transpired in run number 1.
What we saw from Jin yesterday was a lot cleaner than what we're seeing from him today. It looked like he didn't have quite the speed and momentum to get to outside zone 1 the way he should, and you could see he left it very, very early, which put him on a very tight line for inside clip 1. It just didn't look like he had the pace, the speed through the course that he should. I don't know if there was more grip than he expected there to be. He was out in practice earlier and he drove on that dry pavement, but you can see his initiation was early and also very much on the inside, which it just didn't give him the drive to get around there. He was able to stretch it and get it around, but not without making some big handbrake pulls and not the smoothest arc around there either. So in the chase position from Kitagawa, not very close in the beginning, but did manage to get a little bit closer there by making some compromises, right? Taking some angle out of the car and running a tighter line.
So some openings, opportunities for both drivers. We could see maybe Kitagawa going deeper and longer into outside zone 1. We could see a better chase from initiation from Harino in order to gain back some of those areas as we do take a look at lead to lead and chase to chase and who did better overall. Both drivers heading back to the hot pits now and then onto the start line, as we will see Koji Kitagawa now take the lead against Jin Harino. Thank you for joining us wherever you're watching around the world, whether on the west coast of the United States, east coast, or in Brazil. Got a few Brazilian fans out there, it seems like. Ryan, I'm sure that's your contingent.
Yeah, those are my adopted people down in Brazil.
If you are watching on the Facebook feed, we also have a Japanese commentary feed on YouTube, and you can also watch on the Formula Drift website, depending on your personal favorite platform. We'll also be doing a cut down of these runs that will be featured on the Formula Drift YouTube page immediately after the top 32 and top 16. Here we go. Kitagawa now the lead. Harino keeping the pace very tight, and he did not anticipate that Kitagawa was going to be on such an inside line, and now Harino, wow, was on the inside of clip number 1 and going off of course. Very weird circumstances here. He was really close coming down the front straight into initiation. Kitagawa dived in, but then things just went wrong after that.
Yeah, this is one of those situations where we knew that Kitagawa was slower. Jin Harino, if he had a spotter, his spotter should have been telling him that very thing. And it looked like Jin was too close at initiation and had to get on the brakes to avoid, I guess, making contact with Kitagawa maybe, and it ended up sending him off course. So that early mistake then caused him to go on the inside of inside clip number 1. And that's not where you're supposed to be. That's definitely an incomplete for Harino, and Kitagawa did not do a great job in the lead. I'm going to say that right away here. It's not like Kitagawa was doing precisely what he should there, but he didn't do anything that would cause us to say that it's Kitagawa's fault. Jin Harino just made a misjudgment there.
And that's key, right? Because if there was a causal relation there, then you could see potentially a one more time possible scenario
Right.
on the table. But if Kitagawa did not zero out, then that would basically mean that the incomplete by Jin would move it into his favor.
Yeah, Kitagawa. Everybody has been watching practice through the wet, the dry situations that we've had. Sessions. We know that Kitagawa is a little bit slower, so his spotter, Jin Harino spotter, should have informed him of that and said, give him a little bit of space on the initiation. Maybe don't get right on his door because he's going to be slower there, and then he's going to flow through the course. So give him some space to do what he's doing, and you can kind of adapt to what he's doing later on.
So not a situation where the best driving per se won, but a driver that made a much bigger mistake.
Exactly. Yeah.
All right.
Unfortunately.
So this was the man of the hour. He will be most likely the man of the weekend no matter what happens here because of the horrendous crash that he had yesterday. That is Naoto Suinaga. Flipped over the vehicle in very wet conditions. We've got it posted on our social media platforms if you want to go back and watch that. That's him right there in the foreground as we wait for him to come to the line against Manabu Fujinaka. Both drivers qualified mid-pack yesterday. Okay, is that for Suinaga? All right, so Suinaga is calling a competition timeout. We should say that it's most likely not related to what happened yesterday. They worked through the night here at Kumakubo's place to get a new windshield in and make sure that the vehicle was all sound. But he will be using his competition timeout for unknown reasons right now against Manabu Fujinaka. But that was one of the gnarliest crashes I think all of us have ever seen. Most definitely the gnarliest crash at this course for the years that we've been coming here.
Yeah, we've seen rollovers in the past. It's not that this is the first rollover we've seen, but it's the dramatic fashion in which he drove up that wall and then resulted in the rollover. It was very intense to watch live, and watching it on the replay is no less intense. But it's, in competition, it's always something that gets a little scary for us. But luckily, he was okay. The car's back on track here. And I'd like to see him compete. It'd be good to see that comeback from that type of accident to actually competing in the top 32.
Yeah, no question about it. All right, here we go. Our next battle up as we wait for the competition timeout from Naoto Suinaga, Benjamin Chiam, and Shoya Saito. Chiam, great qualifying position, number 5 yesterday. Here we go. Chiam, midline, initiates right at the second standing cone. Great job, but coming up a little bit short on outside zone 1, but Saito not able to keep the pace as Chiam shoots out, just touches that second outside zone, better on outside zone 3, and the gap is a huge disparagement for Shoya Saito, who now shuts it down independently of trying to compete with Benjamin Chiam, and that should be an incomplete for him. Let's take a look at what happened here in run number 1.
Benjamin Chiam in the lead does a decent initiation, but it didn't look like the angle was really achieved the way that he wanted it to. It looked like a lot of people there, when they get the car to angle, they grab some handbrake just to get the car set or on throttle more aggressively. And it looked like once he got it to angle, he just kind of let it float a little bit, and it didn't quite get out to the angle that he wanted, which caused him to not really get super wide on outside zone 1 and not long on it either. So he left it kind of early, you can see there. But he did come in on maybe the second or third hash mark there on inside clip 2. Did okay on outside zone number 2. And just lightly nudged inside clip 2. But there in the chase position, you can see Saito straightening up before he goes over the finish line. So will be an incomplete from my perspective anyway on Saito for the chase position.
All right, so yes, the drier conditions certainly much more stringent on the incompletes and the straightening than we saw in the wet conditions yesterday, giving the drivers a little bit of breathing room there to deal with the changing conditions. And it was changing quite a bit. We started to see, we saw a lot of rain at the beginning, and then it dried out, but it was still wet. And we started to get a little bit of tack on the course. And then right around the time of Suinaga, we had another big pour. So variable conditions yesterday, much more consistent today, and we hope that this continues because it is really fun to watch these drivers push 100% on a course that is fast and smoky. All right, so changing things up here. Shoya Saito will go to the lead. Benjamin Chiam will go to the chase. Looks like he has an obvious advantage here as Judge Ryan Lantain also commentating with us, which is a great thing to have, giving his opinion that it would be an incomplete from him with regards to Saito. So here we go, run number 2. Chiam A little bit of distance there from Saito. Saito initiates, and now Chiam trying to pour it on. Close the door a little bit. Way wide on that inside clip. A possible passing area there for Benjamin Chiam, but Saito slows up once again and incompletes in front of Chiam.
Yeah, that will be a double incomplete from Saito, unfortunately. So that hands the win over to Benjamin automatically there. You can see Benjamin was expecting Saito to be a little bit slower on the run-up, so he gave him a little bit of room, and it seems like it paid off because he did start to catch up to him. And right here at inside clip 1, you can see that Saito went very, very wide. Benjamin did catch up to him at that point, but right there is where Saito incompleted, straightened up, and the battle was over at that point in time.
All right, so all three judges going in the favor of Benjamin Chiam. And Ryan, let's jump right into it. We just heard over the radio some very unfortunate news about Naoto Suinaga.
Yeah, unfortunately, his steering rack, one of the seals blew out of it, and there's oil pouring all over the place. They do not have time in 5 minutes to replace it. I don't even know if they have a spare one anyway, but no, he's going to have to withdraw from competition, and that will give Manabu Fujinaka the automatic win here. So a bit of an upset. 20th position will beat the 13th qualifier, but that's how the event goes sometimes.
So we will see Fujinaka come to the line here. He will do a bye run, and he will move on to the top 16 to face Koji Kitagawa.
That's unfortunate, and it could be a result of the hit, the roll, the wall climb, all of those things. And maybe it's something that they quickly looked at. Maybe they just didn't see the potential failure point there, or maybe it failed on its own independently. Who knows?
So an opportunity here for Fujinaka to get a free pass. One more practice lap. Nice initiation there with good angle. You can still see some drivers maybe trying to figure out the grip levels and get that first outside zone dialed in a little bit better. We've seen a number of drivers come off a bit early and on a tighter line, which has made them push wide on inside clip number 1. So a good opportunity there for Fujinaka. He will not see competition again until the top 16, which will be after the halftime break, but at least he'll have one more lap and some nice data points there to go back and try to get his setup just right for the top 16 and on if he makes it further into competition.
As you were just pointing out, he left outside zone 1 early, and it put him on an odd line going to inside clip 1. This track, it's absolutely vital that you fill outside zone 1. If you don't fill it properly, you're going to be on the wrong line for inside clip 1, and it's really hard to come back from that in that area. We haven't really seen any drivers that left outside zone 1 early do a good job on inside clip 1. And you know, it may be due to the fact that they drove in the wet so much here that they're not totally accustomed to what it is they need to do in the dry, what kind of speeds they need, what kind of initiation they need, and what kind of setup in the car they need to be able to get it to go out to outside zone 1 fully. But we're not seeing a lot of drivers doing it very well this round, and I'm guessing it's due to the wild changes in weather that we've had.
All right, so our next battle up, a bit of a David and Goliath battle here. Kazuya Iizuka against Tomonori Tasaka. Couldn't be more different. And Kazuya Iizuka not only making waves here in the drifting community, but really around the world with this very unique build, the wide body A5, very loud and powerful, fun to watch. Still trying to figure out the setup, it seems like, but let's take a look here as we get the first run underway. Iizuka blasting off. Initiates at that second standing cone, and Tasaka is really playing catch-up here. Did not get a good jump out of the gate. He's angling up and goes wide on outs inside clip number 1. And Iizuka, while maintaining the right line, got out of the gate incredibly well and established and kept a gap there against that AE85 Tirreno of Tomonori Tasaka.
If you watch Tasaka on the start line, it almost looks like, well, we just missed it in that replay, but the car jumped. I don't know if it stalled and you had to restart it, but he ended up way behind. Watching the lead driver here, Iizuka, did a great job on outside zone 1, and look at the arc he's able to draw around inside clip 1. So he's the first driver I've seen today in the dry here in competition do a good job from outside zone 1 to inside clip 1 to outside zone 2. Now the challenge becomes, because you have that smoother arc around inside clip 1, you end up carrying more speed down to outside zone 3, and that's why we put a decel there. So watch his arc here. Nicely done. Could have been slightly closer to that clip, but really well done. And watch as he transitions here. This is where you need to slow down, because if you don't, you end up going really wide on that clip. It's an area that is more technical now due to what we've done at inside clip 1. It does create more speed down there, which means that you do have to be a little more careful with how you set the car up for inside clip 2.
So as they regrid for the second half of the lap, this is going to get really interesting here. Clearly, Iizuka got a great jump out of the gate, but it does seem like he has some grip and obvious horsepower on Tasaka. So will he implore a strategy here to give a little bit of room to Tasaka into that first inside clip, or will he go right into it? Switching things up now, Tasaka taking the lead against Iizuka. And drivers set to go. The light is flashing, and it is off. Both drivers get out of the gate right at the same time. Tasaka down. He heads over onto the right-hand side of the course. Nice initiation, but he's going to wash out and go into the wall. Wow, that was crazy. The front end washed out from Tasaka. He went into a part of the wall that hasn't had much contact to it. So he was a bit wider past outside zone 2, Ryan, and there's really no moisture down on the course, so you have to wonder what transpired there.
You could see he was full throttle by outside zone 1, and I don't know if there was a hiccup in the car or if he just got into some understeer. Hard to really say. Let's watch the replay here and see if we can analyze it a little bit better, but a big flick from him. You can see Smokey on throttle, and then the car just grips up, and he ends up climbing up that wall, and we've had a lot of cars up on that wall this round. Previous years, I don't think we really ever did. You know, once in a while, somebody might have dipped a tire in the dirt, but we're seeing a lot of cars climbing up that wall this round. It's maybe, I don't know, stick your tires, higher speeds.
The great part about that wall is that it's soft dirt. The bad part about that wall is it's kind of rampy.
Is that it's a wall. A rampy wall. He's lucky, though, the car didn't end up on its roof like Sunaga's. But, of course, he did do some damage to the car. He was able to drive it off the course. He just has it parked off to the side, and you can see there the results.
Making it official, Kazuya Iizuka, car number 28, with the Audi A5, moving on into the top 16. He will face Benjamin Chiam. So that does it for the left-hand side of the bracket in the top 32. Yueo, Nian, Masuyama, Gray, Kitagawa, Fujinaka, Chiam, and Iizuka all making it through. We will take a quick commercial break, come back and finish up the right-hand side of the bracket in the top 32 here at the G-Shock Presents Formula Drift Japan Championship. It is 6:15 in Los Angeles, California, 10:15 here local time in Nihonmatsu Prefecture. We are at the G-Shock Presents Formula Drift Japan Round 2 at the Ebisu West Circuit. You are watching the top 32. We've made it halfway. We've seen some great battles so far. We are now moving on to the right-hand side of the bracket where we will see our second buy run of the top 32. As we mentioned at the top of the broadcast, we started the weekend with 50 drivers. We saw a lot of attrition even before the event started, and we started with 43 drivers after some DNFs and unable to make their way into qualifying. Then we saw a crazy qualifying that only saw us getting 30 scores out of those 43. And the result of that meant that Katsuhiro Ueo and this man right here, Hayato Miyoshi, will receive a buy run. So as we take a look at Miyoshi, he has always been one for the big initiations. He goes for it, and you can see right there, just grips up a little bit. No harm, no foul. A good opportunity for him to get another feel of the course conditions here. One criticism that we've heard, Ryan, of a lot of the drivers, and it has to do with the tires, is that many of the drivers seem to be putting a lot more grip than necessary in the vehicles for the dry conditions here.
Yeah, we talked to them about it yesterday in the meeting. It just seems like they value the grip, the speed, whatever it is that they're looking for out of that, more than they do filling the zones and completing the course without making a lot of corrections. And it's something that is a little concerning from our perspective, because That's not what we're asking for. We do not judge speed. We have no speed guns here. We just want them to do a good job on the track itself, filling the zones, getting to the inside clips, and doing so with good momentum. And it looks like a lot, not a lot, maybe quite a few drivers, let's say, when they get the car to angle, there's so much grip in the car that it wants to go straight. So once it goes to angle, the car's pointing towards the inside of the track. That's where it wants to go, as opposed to being able to let the car ride out to the outside zone, fill that zone, and then get on throttle back to the inside clip. So in his situation, it looked like he just was way too aggressive on initiation, and he didn't have the momentum to get the car around. Now, somebody who's going to have to worry about momentum here is Go Kamiya with this underpowered car.
First run underway. Mori does
Restart.
not even initiate, but it looks like it is a restart. And it's worth noting that both of these drivers, as they go back to regrid at the start line, were very highly praised by their fellow drivers in the drivers' meeting last night and the top 32 announcement for really overcoming a huge amount of pressure with incompletes on their first run of qualifying. So they were able to come out, deal with the wet conditions, get scores on the board. They qualified number 15 and 18 respectively, but certainly a really cool amount of camaraderie, very similar back to the States with drivers pushing each other to make those scores, get into competition, and really it's nice to see that. So they will regrid. It'll be a strike on Mori. It looks like he did tap a cone going through the chicane, and we will start this one once again. The R35 Skyline going up against the S15. V35.
Yeah, it's essentially
Yes.
a G37.
Yeah, G37.
Yeah. The thing with the G37 is it is not very powerful. It's essentially a stock VQ37. Makes a lot of noise, but not really fast.
All right, here we go. Second attempt. This time Mori initiates the second standing cone. Gets right at the edge of that first outside zone. And as you mentioned, the gap being established here to Go Kamiya. Good movement from the second outside zone to third outside zone. And on that inside clip at Ryan, obviously the most noticeable occurrence here, as you mentioned, was the lack of power and grip from Go Kamiya. And unable to really keep pace with Yoshimi Mori.
Yeah, Mori's very fast here. You can see his initiation is very snappy. Got the car to angle really nicely. Did a pretty decent job on outside zone 1, but overshot, unfortunately, inside clip 1. But in the chase position, Go Kamiya is nowhere to be found at all. You know, we don't like to call things like that like an incomplete because it's a poor chase. There was no proximity. It was an inactive chase, essentially, because he's not close at all. And in the lead position, Mori was not trying to get away. He was fulfilling his lead driver responsibilities. He was filling the zones.
He even gave him an opportunity at inside clip 1 because he went a bit wide there.
Yeah, and you can see that Go Kamiya took that opportunity by not running the same line. You know, with that type of distance between them, he was able to get inside to that inside clip, and he still is nowhere to be found in the chase position.
So a lot of diversity here in this top 32 field. Some older drivers, some legends from the past, and a lot of young drivers here. One noticeable young driver out of competition that many of you would recognize is the Top Tool driver, young lad.
Kanta Yanaguida.
Yeah, Kanta Yanaguida, unable to make it into competition, not because of inability to qualify due to criteria, but engine detonation after run number 1. So unfortunately, we will not see him until next round in Fuji. But it is great to see a wide array of drivers competing here in Formula Drift Japan. Second run about to be underway. Go Kamiya taking the lead against Yoshimi Mori.
Mori has his work cut out for him right now.
Mori giving him a little bit of space here. You can see that the pace is not there with Kamiya. Now he surges forward. He does attack. You can see the speed. Oh, no. And he makes a big mistake at inside clip 1. And what looked to be a dominant performance from Mori has now gone sideways. He makes a mistake in the chase position. And Ryan, I thought he calculated it very well. He gave some room down the front straight. Then he surged forward right after outside zone 2. But inside clip 1, he looks like he paid a price.
Yes, he like you say, he did calculate it very well. He judged that entry nicely. You could see that Go Kamiya in the lead position was doing okay there. And I don't even know what happened to him in that position. He wasn't close enough that he had to jam on the brakes to try to avoid contact or anything. He was still a couple of car lengths away, maybe a car length, a few car widths away. Let's watch it from the aerial shot. So you can see Kamiya in the lead. Kind of a couple of bobbles and corrections there, but yeah, he started to spin even before he got close to the inside clip. So that was just a complete error on Maury's part in that situation.
Well, and we have seen that, Ryan, but it really was in the wet conditions yesterday, even from the likes of Andrew Gray on that inside clip. And you have to remember that there are painted rumble strips there. That was really challenging in the wet. But luckily, before we even got to that, so much rubber had been laying down and the paint had been taken up that it was actually quite easy for the drivers. But we still saw some drivers spinning out at that inside clip as the judges are now talking over what transpired there. I have to imagine, I mean, Go's run, it wasn't the greatest. You did hear Ryan open up the key term that I think will be important here is that the first run may have been an inactive chase. And if that is the case, then that would be an incomplete for Go Kamiya, and it could nullify the spin from Yoshimi Mori and give him another opportunity. If not, then the win would go to Go Kamiya.
Yeah, and I was talking to Robbie, and I believe that's the route he's going to take as well. Now, if you do that, if you incomplete them both on their chase runs, we go back to the lead runs, right? And then you look at who did a better lead run. And it might be counterintuitive to think that if you look at Mori winning, which the two of us just chose, because the fact that they both incompleted on their chases, that's the key point here, is that they both incompleted on the chase, we can revert to the lead. Had one incompleted on their lead, there's no way you can compare run to run, right? Because as soon as you incomplete in the lead, the run is over.
The run's over, yeah.
Right? So it is counterintuitive in this situation, but by the rules, this makes the most sense to Robbie and I.
It's what you have to judge.
Yeah, exactly. It's what we have left to judge. And unfortunately, Go Kamiya brought the wrong car to this event. You need, all these cars are running 600 plus horsepower, and he brought a stock VQ37 with, I think they stripped the interior maybe in that car, so a slight deduction in weight. That's a heavy car to begin with.
So that's a knife at a gunfight.
It's like a stick? Not even a knife. It's
like
a stick. Yeah.
It came with a stick.
I think I could have beat him in my missile car, you know, my old beat-up S13. It's just not the right car for this event, and you can't expect in the chase position to be able to keep up to a built race car. It just doesn't add up in that sense. So, yes, it looks a little bit weird to go with that vote, but like I said, chase to chase, lead to lead. You know, Mori did a much better job in his lead run in his fully built race car.
All right, so we had two incompletes on the chase runs. That goes back to the lead run comparison. And Yoshimi Mori will get the win there, just skirting by. Moving on to our next battle. This should be a good one. Nobushige Kumakubo versus Takatoshi Ima Maeda. The legend and the track owner joining us. The pizza maker, Team Orange, owner of many animals.
Yes.
I'm trying to think. There's so many different attributes. Nice guy, great smile, awesome handshake. Here he goes. He's going to take the lead. He qualified number 7. Coming down, snaps it right past that third standing cone. Beautifully executed in that first outside zone, but Ima Maeda closing the door through that first inside clip. Good battle so far here, but Ima Maeda misses that second outside zone. Great proximity, however, but Kumakubo showing the legendary status that he is. You could see the comfort level in that vehicle from initiation. He looked like he was just really on point in the lead position.
We had a good tandem battle here, nice and close from the chase driver. The lead driver laying down a good run. Look at Kumakubo right on that rumble strip. Left it slightly early, but Ima Maeda right there in the chase, nice and close. You did have a kind of a flub there in the angle side of things, just from inside clip 1 to outside zone 2. But Kumakubo in the lead, doing a great job, laying down a high-scoring lead run, and that's what you need to have in the lead to have that good chase. So clearly, Ima Maeda knew that he was going to be following a good run, and he had the confidence to stay close.
Outside zone 2 there a little bit,
yeah. But he was close. That's the the beginning of a good battle, right? And was able to mimic him pretty well. Made a couple of mistakes though. It's mainly from inside clip 1 to outside zone 2 where he pulled angle out of the car, and because of that wasn't able to get wide to outside zone 2.
So Ima Maeda has an opportunity to maybe do outside zone 1 a little bit better than
If
Kumakubo.
he stayed on 1 a little bit longer, right, to the end.
Kumakubo in his chase could, if Ima Maeda gets out to outside zone 2 and fills it, if he fills it as well, he has an opportunity there to get some back.
Yep.
Because Ima Maeda was a little bit off there. But overall, great proximity.
Exactly.
And a good lead allows for a good chase.
Yeah. So in this situation, we're looking at a strong lead run. The chase driver is expected to do a strong chase run. It's the situation where the lead is poor, where we're going to give the chase driver some allowances, to make a couple of errors there because the lead is so poor. But here, you're expecting a great chase because of the great lead. So that mistake from Imameda coming from inside clip 1 to outside zone 2 is one that's going to weigh on him. And now it's up to Kumakubo to put the pressure on in the chase and really show his dominance in that position.
All right, so here we go. Second half of the battle. Kumakubo getting out of the gate a bit before there, which is allowed as the chase driver, trying to keep pace. Ima Maeda, big angle on the initiation, and he does fill outside zone 1. Kumakubo misses outside zone 1, but he keeps the proximity on here. A good battle back and forth. Smoke being generated by both drivers as Kumakubo puts the pressure on him. And it looks like he may have pushed a little bit too hard. Ryan, that was past the decel point of that third outside zone rather, so
yep.
That may have just been Kubo pushing a little bit too hard.
Yeah, let's take a look at the replay here, analyze it a little bit closer. You can see that Kubo was trying to get the run up timed right. He may have timed it slightly wrong, but Ima made a great job on outside zone 1, close on inside clip 1, and then outside zone 2, good job. Kubo is nice and close. Ima made is on throttle there. Hard to tell if there was a decel or not. We'll have to watch it from the aerial view and see what the drone is going to give us. Yeah, you can see that Kubo side by side with him, kind of sinks back behind. Ima made a great angle. Slight bobble right there, but overall a great job. Not quite the angle we'd like to see at outside zone 2, though. And let's see right here. Oh, he did slow down. Looks like Ima Maeda did lift off the throttle right there and caused Kubo to have to correct, which caused the spin. So we're going to try to watch that one again.
Ask him if we can see that again.
We're going to watch that again. These drones are so helpful for this type of situation. Seeing this from ground level, especially from our perspective here, really difficult to see if there was a slowdown from the lead driver. And but put it up in the air like that, and instantly you can see that correction that was made by Ima Maeda in the lead.
So getting a bit more granular here. Great job on outside zone 1
yes.
by Ima Maeda. Kubo did not fill outside zone 1 with him. Now outside zone 2, you said a little bit more angle there would have been nice from Ima Maeda.
Yep, exactly. And this is the area right here where
you can see the smoke
now
line
you
punctuate.
can see the smoke line. Yeah, exactly. So hopefully the next part of this replay will be the aerial shot, which will give us the view that we need from the sky. And Ima Maeda was not doing as good a job in the lead position. The only thing he did better here was outside zone 1 with that angle, but right there he made the bobble, and right here he's going to have less angle, not fill outside zone 2 the best, but right what we're looking for is right here.
Watch the smoke line punctuation too. It stops.
Right there.
Yep.
He did lift, and that was a sneaky little thing that he did. Whether it was on purpose or not, it was sneaky because it was hard for us to catch.
Yeah, it's always very helpful for me to watch a smoke line punctuation on an area where the driver should be full throttle there. And you were able to see it from both of those shots once you were looking at that specifically and not looking at the attitude of the car. So now we've heard from Ryan Lantain directly from him as a judge. We'll see what the other two judges think. And this may be an opportunity here where, after closer analysis, it does look like Ima Maeda lifted in an area where he shouldn't have. So we have one judge going with one more time. Ryan Lantain going, and we've got two judges going with one more time. That does take it into the direction of a one more time.
Yeah, so clearly they saw that mistake from Ima Maeda. I did like what Ima Maeda did on outside zone 1, but I felt that Kubo overall had a smoother lead run from start to finish. Even though he left outside zone 1 a little bit earlier, he was more consistent with his angle throughout the run, did a better job of filling the zones fully. Ima Maeda got out to outside zone 2, but didn't fill the zone. He was a little bit late on it and did have that correction on angle there as well. He had to slow down in inside clip inside clip 2. So I felt that his lead run was not great, and I did give the win to Kumukubo there. And in the chase position, Kumukubo wasn't given the opportunity really to chase fully through. So that was my thoughts.
All right, here we go. Our next battle, Yoshiya Isaki, Kazuki Hayashi, number 10 and number 23 in qualifying. Isaki a bit off that first outside zone. Hayashi chasing him down through that inside clip. A little bit less angle here from Hayashi as Isaki gets out to that second and third outside zone pretty well here. Both drivers reaching through this final inside clip and passing through the finish line. So Isaki not doing the greatest job on outside zone 1, but let's take a look at it again here and get a bit more granular.
Mistakes made by both drivers in this run. Not the cleanest run from either driver. You can see at initiation, outside zone 1 was missed by the lead driver. Some corrections on angle there. Off of inside clip 1 as well. Some big corrections on angle there going to outside zone 2. The chase driver not putting a whole lot of pressure on in this situation. I'd like to see these drivers clean it up a little bit on the next run. So let's watch from the aerial shot. It's going to show a lot of the angle corrections as they come through. So the initiation not super snappy from Isaki, and you can see he's off of inside clip 1. Look at the big angle reduction at outside zone 2 from Isaki, and again from inside clip 2 to the finish. So not the cleanest lead run. Definitely an opportunity there for Hayashi to clean up his lead run and better what Isaki did in his lead.
All right, so both drivers heading back to the hot grid and then right to the start line for the second half of this battle. Switching things up here as Kazuki Hayashi and Yoshiya Isaki will rotate positions. As they do that, Ryan, I have a quick question for you.
Yes.
So in the case of Kumukubo, right, and you have a situation where he spun, right, but there was no contact. It looked like that the spin was quote-unquote caused by the lift, right?
Yep.
Now, is there an incomplete in there somewhere?
Well, generally that chase car would be given an incomplete for the spin if it was independent, and I like to kind of transfer that incomplete over to the driver that caused it, right? Because they're the one that that ended the run for the other driver. They did not allow that person to complete their run. They didn't give them a full opportunity to do that. And for me, in the right situation, I would say yes, that it does it constitute an incomplete for that driver.
All right, second half of the battle here. Hayashi now in the lead position, going to the middle of the course, initiates right at the third standing cone. He's going to come off outside zone 1 a bit early there, not feeling it completely. That allows Isaki to close the door, but now Isaki falls off, losing some ground here as Hayashi deep into that third outside zone, whipping it through the final inside clip. And we see both drivers making some mistakes on runs 1 and 2. Let's take a look here at the replay.
As they leave the line, did a good job of staying together down the straightaway. First part of the battle. You can see the lead driver initiated early, the chase driver initiated a little bit later, but within the parameters of where he should be initiating. Did a good job coming down the hill here. Not really in the chase position putting a lot of pressure on. Lead driver missing a couple of areas there. Really not seeing dominance from either driver in either position here. It just seemed like some errors were made by both drivers. You can see that outside zone 1 wasn't fully filled by Hayashi off of inside clip 1 in the very same way that that Isaki did this in his lead run. And yeah, just kind of trading off errors here from start to finish for both drivers.
Let's see if we have a result here with the battle of Yoshiya Isaki versus Kazuki Hayashi. One going to Isaki, Ryan going for one more time, and it's going to be a back-to-back one more time, a split decision here, but the majority going for one more time. So we are seeing a one more time battle here, back-to-back from Nobushige Kumokubo and Takatoshi Maeda, and now one with Yoshiya Isaki and Kazuki Hayashi. And it does look like we will, yes, we do see the next battle on the line here. Shinji Minowa versus Yasao Takano, car 999 versus car 90, number 3 and 30 qualifying positions from yesterday. Shinji Minowa certainly trying to ramp up his campaign, wants to fight for that championship. A good opportunity for him. A new vehicle this year, though it does look very similar, almost exactly the same as the car from last year. And he will take the lead. Blasting out of that front straight, goes over to the right-hand side of the course, initiates in the middle, but he is able to push out and perfectly fill that outside zone 1. Takano trying to look for an opportunity here. Great job by Minowa out front. This is what we're used to seeing from him. You can see some mistakes from Takano in the chase as he approached outside zone 3 and not really able to keep the pressure on through that final off-camber turn through the finish line. Let's take a look here one more time at the replay.
As I was saying yesterday, Minowa's got a lot of seat time on this track, drives here a lot, and you can see the comfort that he has with it. Gets out to outside zone 1, just over that rumble strip slightly, but really great job. Beautiful arc from outside zone 1 to inside clip 1 to outside zone 2. Transitions nicely down to outside zone 3 and tight on inside clip number 2. So you can see from the lead side of things, this is probably one of the best lead runs we've had in top 32 so far today. In the chase position, you can see that Takano was kind of thrown off by Minowa's initiation. The lead driver does have the right of way, and he needs to give space for that. And you could tell right off the start he wasn't on the same page or same step as Minowa. He was kind of thrown off by that and had to get out of his way a little bit. And he did have a pretty significant straight in there at around the outside zone 2 area. So in the chase position, not quite fulfilling his responsibilities, his goals in the chase, and that could almost be an incomplete from him. Maybe we'll have to watch that replay one more time, but it looked like an incomplete from Takano, just how seriously he straightened and the duration of that straighten. He only really got the car back to angle after outside zone 3.
So both drivers repitting here, heading back to the start line. It looks like a good start overall from what we hear from Ryan, from our driver Shinji Minowa, car number 90. He will now go to the chase position against Yasao Takano, car 999.
Takano has a very high standard to adhere to right now, just because of the level of run that Shinji Minowa did in the lead. And we tell him in the driver's meeting, if you run that high lead, you're putting a lot of pressure on the other driver now to go run that same or better lead. And right now, Takano has to do a great lead run.
Spotters off to the right-hand side of us, talking to their drivers. Takano, oh, he has a double initiation there. A big mistake on initiation. He has to reinitiate, and fortunately, fortunately, he was able to keep drifting, but we had an incident at inside clip 1 where it looks like he spun out, and Minowa seems like he anticipated that, slowed down, and stopped drifting along with him. But let's take a look here. What happened on the initiation, Ryan?
Yeah, so running down to the initiation point, Minowa did a good job of pacing him and getting him kind of set in the right position, but as you see him initiate, the car just doesn't initiate. The car, it got slight angle, straightened up again, and then got back to angle. So these drivers are contending with a switch from very, very, very wet conditions yesterday to completely dry now. So maybe it's been it was somewhat, I guess, semi-wet during practice this morning, and now it's completely dry. So these are conditions that they haven't driven since Thursday practice.
So all three judges going in the favor of Shinji Minowa, car number 90, moving on into the top 16. He will face the winner of the next battle up on the grid, and that is Tomohiro Murayama and Kazumi Takahashi. But it does look like we will visit the one more time battle here. This was a good one, and we did see a bit of a deciding factor on that spin that was seemingly induced by Ima Maeda with regards to Kumo. So now both drivers back, another opportunity here.
Now they know each other. They've battled each other once. They know what their little tricks are, so let's see how they fare in the next battle.
Kumo, the higher qualified driver, center of the course initiation, early at that third standing cone. Oh boy, and Ima Maeda overshoots it, cooks it, but so does Kumo on inside clip 1, but Ima Maeda is really out of whack here, and even with the mistake at inside clip 1 by Kumo, it looks like he's going to have a clear advantage, relatively speaking, as he goes to the chase position after this. But Ryan, what happened there? It looks like Ima Maeda just did not get the timing right in the chase position.
Yeah, his initiation wasn't where it should be. You can see that he went wide here, three tires off, it looks like. In the lead position, you could tell that Kumo was trying to go fast. He was trying to set the pace at a very high level, and Imameda was struggling to keep up. Kumukubo did overshoot inside clip 1. You can see he was getting away from Imameda here at initiation. He did initiate right at that last standing cone, so could have been a little bit earlier there. It wouldn't be an incomplete, but he was certainly flirting with late. Kumukubo, his initiation was right at that one cone. But you could tell that he was trying to set a high level of speed there throughout the course. He did overshoot inside clip 1 because of it, but he did not incomplete in any way throughout the course. Depending on how many tires was off for Imameda, it could be an incomplete for him. And let me see what the other judges say.
Both drivers back at the line as Ryan is conferring with the other judges on what they're looking at in terms of was there an incomplete there or not. What's the verdict, Ryan?
Well, looking at the replay that we saw, we'll just have to ask for it again afterwards if we feel that we need that to see if it's an incomplete from him.
Ima Maeda taking the lead, middle of the course initiation right before the second standing cone. Great job on outside zone 1, but Kumukubo is right there with him. And no major mistakes from Ima Maeda in the lead position, but again, no major mistakes from Kumukubo in the chase, and you have to think that the chase runs compared, Kumukubo pretty much dominated that, and that may give him the edge overall.
Yeah, watching his chase run, very close, good mimic, but look at Imameda's lead. Great job on outside zone 1. I love the angle through there to inside clip 1. A little bobble there, but nothing too serious, so his lead run very clean, very smooth. Did a great job in that lead position.
So Ima Maeda trying to fight back, but some big mistakes in his chase may be the overall linchpin in the entire head-to-head matchup here. Kumukubo fighting a good fight in the chase, keeping the door proximity pretty solid there through that final inside clip and for the majority of the run. So let's go to the judges and make it official.
Had Imameda stayed on the track in the chase position, and I think that his lead was better, but Kumukubo's chase was better. You can see here that I think we all agreed on that point. Yeah,
all
like
three judges going in favor of Kumukubo Nobushige, who will move on into the top 16. See, that's one of those ones where if you guys said, oh, you know, Ima Maeda wins the lead, but Kumukubo wins the chases.
Yeah.
The best overall part for me is where Ima Maeda should have still lost that because of how big the mistakes were in the chase,
exactly.
even if it wasn't an incomplete.
Yeah, exactly. And they may not have completed it. That's exactly the same position they're coming from. But his lead was phenomenal.
Really good.
Outside zone 1 with the angle that he carried. Beautiful arc. We told him in the meeting, same angle from outside zone 1 to inside clip to outside zone 2, and he did that exactly the way he should have.
Here's the other one more time battle, Isaki versus Hayashi. Let's see if we can get a good one here. Both drivers initiating pretty much right at the same time. Isaki once again off that outside zone. Hayashi was able to make a good adjustment, keep the proximity on, low angle there from Isaki through that second outside zone. Hayashi keeping an eye on him, surging forward to gain proximity when he can and keeping it close. So we see a few mistakes out front by Isaki on that first outside zone, and it looks like the second outside zone as well, Ryan.
This was definitely a cleaner battle than the first one, which is kind of what we were going for by calling that one more time. He did not fill outside zone 1 the way he should have, but at least the guys are getting through the course with somewhat consistent angle. There's a better chase going on here, a better mimic from Hayashi. He's actually doing a good job in the chase position of mimicking what the lead driver is doing. So really happy to see that they cleaned up their run on the second battle, and you can see there Isaki in the lead does have that angle correction on outside zone 2. He did make a couple of errors there, but in the chase position, I think that Hayashi did a good job of avoiding making the same mistakes while filling the zone in the same way that Isaki did in the lead.
So both drivers trying to clean up this one more time battle, heading back to the hot pits and then right to the start line. We'll see the second half. We are almost through the top 32. We've got 3 more battles to go after this, including Kazuhiro Kubo versus Tetsuya Kume and Koichi Yamashita versus Kazuya Matsukawa. We see the drivers filling in a good top 16 lining up here with Miyoshi Kumakubo and Minowa on the right-hand side of the bracket, along with Yoshimi Mori. And the winner of this battle. Second half underway in just a moment. Hayashi rolling up to the line. And it looks like we will get things underway. And the light is on and extinguishing means go. Both drivers lead the line at the same time. Hayashi navigating through the chicane. Uses up a good chunk of the course, initiates, and does a pretty good job on outside zone 1. Isaki surges forward and missed that outside zone because of that. Hayashi, a much cleaner, lean run here. Not a lot of mistakes. He was able to get to outside zone 2 and 3 and really looked solid on that off-camber turn towards that final inside clip.
Good job from Hayashi here in the lead. Excellent job on outside zone 1. Really cleaned up his act from the first battle that they did, and this is what we like to see. The lead driver doing a great job on that zone. He left it where he should leave it, right about the second hash mark on inside clip 1, on the rumble strip at outside zone 2. Same thing for outside zone 3. Very precise run here, did a great job in the lead. In the chase position, Isaki was making some errors, missed a couple of areas, wasn't really mimicking the way that he should. Especially given the high quality of that lead run, he had all the opportunity there to do a great chase because of that great lead. And you can see there a couple of corrections on angle, missed outside zone 1, and didn't quite do the job that he could. He missed outside zone 2 there as well. Didn't do terribly, but definitely not the same level of chase that Hayashi had when he was chasing. So there we go. All three of us agreed, and Hayashi moves on.
Unanimous decision there for Kazuki Hayashi, car number 33, moving on into the top 16 to face Nobushige Kumakubo. All right, we saw Shinji Minowa win his battle. He's going to be facing the winner of this next one, Tomohiro Murayama versus Kazumi Takahashi, number 14 and 19 place qualifier in yesterday's lead up to today's competition. So that is Takahashi you see there, warming up his tires. 2 battles left after this one to finish up the top 32. It is 10:50 local time here. We will actually have our halftime break, and we come back at right around 13:20, which is 1:20 local time here, before we kick off opening ceremonies in the top 16. Both drivers at the line. Starter has given the signal. Here we go, the higher qualifier, Murayama, will take the lead. He uses all the course. Early initiation there. Can he push out? He can push out to outside zone 1. Takahashi did not get the greatest positioning there. He misses outside zone 1, but he's able to get back on outside zone 2. And Murayama has got a really nice snap on his transition from outside zone 2 to 3. Had that early initiation. Looks like Takahashi got a little bit lost there and was not following Murayama on outside zone 1.
Yeah, it looked like he stumbled early and kind of struggled to keep up throughout the rest of the run. Good job on outside zone 1. Off of inside clip 1, a little bit of a correction on angle there for outside zone 2. Could have been deeper in outside zone 3 and a little bit tighter on inside clip 2. But overall, Murayama did a decent job in the lead position. Takahashi in the chase didn't really fill outside zone 1. Not mimicking fully what the lead driver is doing there all the way throughout the course, but not, you know, right there, kind of washed out a little bit at inside clip 2. Not a terrible chase run, but a couple of opportunities there for Murayama in his chase that's coming up now to clean it up and do a better job of mimicking the lead.
All right, so some insight there from Ryan Lantain as both drivers now heading back to the start line, switching things up here as Takahashi will now take the lead against Murayama. Turning out to be a pretty nice day so far, hoping that the weather holds.
Watch your mouth, Ryan.
I know. I'm gonna knock. This is wood. I'm gonna knock on it right now. It's been saying 100% pretty much every single day since we got here, but it's been fairly unpredictable, and the clouds in the sky look pretty good right now.
Yeah,
pretty good.
This is an unpredictable place with the mountains for the weather.
Yeah, you get a lot of cells coming in here, dropping rain on one portion of the course and not the other. So. Hoping it holds, but here we go. Dry conditions right now for Takahashi as he takes the lead. He's going to straight line approach the initiation real early there, just at the edge of outside zone 1. Murayama trying to close the door here. Can he? Great job on outside zone 2 by Takahashi. Murayama keeping pretty relative proximity here. Oh, he loses a little bit of angle on that last inside clip. So mistakes from both drivers, but was there enough to point it in one direction or the other?
Really snappy from the lead driver here. Did a good job getting the car to angle. Didn't quite fill outside zone 1 the way that Murayama did. Decent on inside clip 1. Good job on outside zone 2 there. And a good transition to outside zone 3. Like you said, Murayama did kind of have that stall up there at inside clip 2 in the chase position. Watching it from the sky. The aerial view, yeah, it could have been deeper, definitely in outside zone number 1. Decent angle there by inside clip number 1. And Murayama fighting to keep in the chase. He did a much better job in terms of following and mimicking what Takahashi was doing in the lead position.
So all 3 judges pondering both the lead and chase runs from both drivers. And looking at who may have done better overall here. We've seen 2 one more times in this top 32 session.
I like that.
And scores coming in. We've got 1 going to Murayama, 2 going to Murayama, and one more time from Robbie Nishida. So another split decision, but in favor of Murayama. He will move on into the top 16. All right, so 2 battles remain as we are moving through this top 32 session. Slots are being filled, positioning, drivers are looking at their strategy, trying to figure out who they're going up against in the top 16, the best way to approach it, given dry or wet conditions. Kazuhiro Kubo will take the lead first against Tetsuya Kume. Kubo, great qualifying position yesterday with a number 6. Tetsuya Kume qualified 27. So a bit of a disparity there.
Kubo was looking great early on here at this track. Seemed to figure it out very quickly. You know, I think the rain mixed things up a little bit, but the first day of practice when it was dry and semi-dry, he was looking really strong.
All right, here we go. Let's see if he can continue to progress. Kubo, middle of the track, initiates right past the 3rd standing cone. He comes off outside zone 1 a little bit early. An opportunity here for Kume to strike. He keeps the pressure on, loses a little bit of angle in the chase, but he's keeping nice proximity there from outside zone 2 to 3. So we see a pretty good start there. Opportunities for both drivers to maybe make up on run number 2, but let's digest run number 1.
Kubo in the lead. I've seen better from him. He didn't really fill outside zone 1 fully. He left it halfway through pretty much and very quickly put him on a poor line for inside clip 1, but managed to get around to outside zone 2 and through the 3 and through the finish. In the chase position there, Kume is putting on a decent amount of pressure and seems to be mimicking pretty well what the lead is doing. So right there you can see he's actually a little bit deeper in outside zone 1, following him through on the same line. Good car positioning, slight bobble there on angle, but you know the lead driver was not doing 100% of what he should in the lead position, so the chase you know can't be too strongly hurt there for what he was doing in the chase. But I think pretty good job in the chase position.
All right, so a bit of insight there from Ryan, as now we will move on to the second half of the battle. We'll see Kume take the lead against Kubo.
Looking at that outside zone 1 in qualifying, that was worth 10 points for line and angle,
right,
whereas the rest of the course, everything was worth 5. It is a very important part of the track. It sets the tone for the rest of the course, and I felt like Kume did a great job of adapting to Kubo's lack of line through that area and managed to stay with him and mimic him through the rest of the course. So the more you think about it, the more that chase run looked pretty solid.
All right. So getting set for the second half of this battle here. A good first run. Very competitive. Can somebody do enough here to push it over the edge? Kume in the lead. Kubo chasing him down. Straight line approach here from Kume. Gets that initiation and does fill that first outside zone completely. Kume is now really going to have to push the pace. A little bit less angle there from Kume on outside zone 2. Kubo trying to keep the pressure on. But we did see him fill that outside zone 1 better. Outside zone 2 looked like he had a little bit less angle, but let's take a look here at run number 2.
Yeah, looking at Kume's lead, looking at outside zone 1 specifically, look at how great he did there. Just a tire over the rumble strip, but filled it fully off of inside clip 1. Slightly less angle there, didn't quite get probably the car set the way he wanted to for outside zone number 2, but overall a great lead run. With a couple of opportunities that he did miss. Let's look at Kubo in the chase now. Didn't quite get as deep in outside zone 1. Took a tighter line there through to inside clip 1, mimicking his error essentially, and not quite going as wide on outside zone 3. So errors were kind of switched back and forth between both drivers.
All right, so both runs are in the books. It's a simple choice, driver A, driver B, or one more time. Kazuhiro Kubo and Tetsuya Kume. It would be an upset if Kume was able to get the win here with that 27th place qualification. So yeah, scores are in, and here we go. It's a one more time from Andy Yen. The next will decide it. And it is going in. Tetsuya Kume, another split decision, but a majority vote for Tetsuya Kume, who does defeat Kazuhiro Kubo in an upset.
Yes, did a great job on that outside zone 1 area, and his chase was pretty solid as well. So overall, did a good job in both roles. Did miss some things, though. I'm not saying it was perfect. Definitely missed a couple of opportunities there, but more opportunities were grabbed by Kume than were by Kubo.
All right, final battle of the top 32. Once again, all of the live stream times are posted on our social media accounts. We start off opening ceremonies right around 1:20 local time here in Japan, and the first battle of the top 16 should be right around 2 o'clock. So if you're wanting to stay up late on the West Coast or East Coast with us, or wherever you are, grab those times and join us. We appreciate you watching. Our final battle of the top 32, Koichi Yamashita, number 11, Kazuya Matsukawa, number 22. Big initiation there from Matsukawa in the chase, but comes up a bit shallow on that outside zone as Yamashita reaches out to outside zone 2. Oh, and the front end washes out, and it sounds like a mechanical for Yamashita in the lead position, unable to finish drifting.
So it's kind of a nice thing to see Yamashita out on track here. He crashed pretty hard into that wall yesterday. You can see he's missing part of the back of his car and part of the front of his car, but in the lead position, great job on initiation, and through outside zone 1, you can see his tire right on that rumble strip, and maybe just a tire slightly over that rumble strip, but for the most part, a good job there. But right here, not quite sure what happened. You could hear the car revving up afterwards, maybe a gear, the gear popped out. Hard to say exactly what occurred there. But definitely was not able to complete the run in the lead position. It'll be an incomplete from him for making that error there, and Matsukawa has a huge opportunity now. He just needs to essentially complete the course right in the lead position, and he's going to easily win the lead-to-lead comparisons.
So both drivers heading back. Unfortunately, with that mechanical by Yamashita, it's hard to know whether or not he will continue. I imagine if he needs to get hands on the car. If it was just a gear popping out, he may just get back to the line, but if it's something worse than that, he may have to call a competition timeout. Yamashita is not going back to the start line, which means that it would be an automatic competition timeout asserted to him or given to him unless he is going to be bowing out of competition.
And it is confirmed Yamashita did ask for a competition timeout. That was him talking to one of the track staff back there to let him know that. So it is going to be a 5-minute call.
All right, and because of that, and we have no more battles to do, we're going to take a commercial break, let the competition time out for Yamashita take place. We'll come right back here to the G-Shock Presents Formula Drift Japan Championship. We are at Ebisu Circuit, and this is the final battle of the top 32. We are about 3 minutes and 30 seconds into a competition timeout from the ever-popular Koichi Yamashita number 11 qualifier. Called the competition timeout after he incompleted his lead run with the mechanical on the vehicle. Kazuhiro Kubo will be taking on the winner of this battle here, which currently is leaning in the favor of Kazuya Matsukawa. So you see getting some heat back in the tires after run number 1 is Koichi Yamashita. He does have that incomplete, so he's got a pretty tough hill to climb here as we try to finish up the top 32.
Seems like it was a misfire issue, perhaps. They were cleaning off the coils, trying to get the car to fire correctly. We assume that's what caused him to straighten up on his lead run.
Yeah, a big straighten from him right at outside zone at number 2. So he will have an incomplete on his lead run. That does give more or less the balance of power right now to Kazuya Matsukawa, who really just needs to finish this lead lap without an incomplete, and he will be our final competitor into the top 32. Both drivers at the line. Looks like we're just a few seconds away from the start.
And this is the last battle of the top 32, so after this, halftime break.
Halftime break, and we will start the top 16 at 2 p.m. local time. We'll have the opening ceremonies prior to that at about 1:20 local time. So if you're setting a clock, you can also find the times on the Formula Drift social media channels. Here we go. Last half. Matsukawa initiates. Both drivers initiate together. Matsukawa is off that inside, or that outside zone rather. And Yamashita's really going to have to push hard here. He's trying to force an air from Matsukawa in the lead position. Great battle here, back and forth. But it is going to be too little, too late with Matsukawa not making any major mistakes and not enough to turn the run.
Good job by getting the car nice initiation there. He did get close to outside zone 1, but not quite filling it off of inside clip 1. Yamashita's right there with him, although he's, like you said, kind of a little too little too late. He did get a tire off, ran over that inside clip, got some air as he did so, and unfortunately I think it's going to go to Matsukawa due to the fact that he just had to overcome an incomplete essentially, and there was no real error from Matsukawa to allow that to happen.
And there we go. Let's make it official. It is a unanimous victory for Kazuya Matsukawa, car number 99, taking out one of the big guns in the Formula Drift Japan Championship, Koichi Yamashita.
And those mechanical issues can really come to bite you at the wrong time. He went all through practice, had seemingly no problems with the car during the hour and 10 minutes of practice this morning. But as soon as he gets to his battle, that's when the car decides to hesitate and either shut off or just give him a problem there. And it's just unfortunate the timing sometimes.
All right, well, that is wrapping things up for us. We are bringing the course to a close here for the top 32. Along with Ryan Lantain, I am Ryan Sage. We are signing off here for the top 32, but we'll be back in just a few short hours, kicking off the top 16.
Bye-bye.